So this is the last lecture on hashing, and we have so far covered what is direct addressing, what is hash tables, hash functions, and then we had collision and collision resolution methods, where we covered only the chaining method of collision resolution. Then we covered the how we convert the keys, alphanumeric keys, into numeric format, and then we also covered the rules of a good hashing function, and then we also saw that there are two methods of writing hash function. One is the multiplicative method and the other one is divisive method, right? So in this lecture we will be doing the second option, or the second method to resolve collision, which is called open addressing, right? So as was the case with chaining, where instead of saving the actual values or keys within the hash table, what we did is that we created a node in front of the cell on which the key was mapped, and we saved the key in that particular node. And in case of collision, we had the flexibility to extend the list from one node to 2 or 3 or 4 nodes, and we made sort of chain or linked list or chain in case of chaining. So if you see here, this is a good approach, but it requires extra space, right? Whereas the open addressing does not require any extra space. What open addressing does is that open addressing, in case of a collision, open addressing stores the key within this table, right? It does not go for any additional space. So so far we have studied hashing with chaining, using linked list to store keys that hash to the same location. Manipulating linked list involve using pointers, which is complex, but I don't think so, it's very complex, and inefficient in both storage and time requirement. Yes, this is right. I don't agree with this complexity portion, but yes, it is inefficient in terms of storage requirement, and of course it increases time as well. So the other option is to store the keys directly in the table. This is called the open addressing, right? So what actually happens in the open addressing, instead of going through this slide, let me show it to you visually. Okay, for example, this is a hash table, right? And these are slots. This is slot number 0. I think 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is 5, this is 6, and this is 7, right? And for example, already we have, let's say, some key. Okay, let me have alphabetical keys. A is stored here, and B is stored here. Let's say C is stored here and D is stored here, right? And for example, there is a new key, let's say Z. This arrives, and the mapping function gives you, for this key, the mapping function gives you, let's assume, gives you slot number 0. So what will happen? This new key Z will go to slot number 0. Okay. Then another key appears, let's say Y, and for this Y as well, this mapping function, let's assume, gives you slot number 1. So you will go to 1. Now here you see that there is already an item placed in slot number 1. So what you will do in open addressing, you will probe or check each and every cell which is after this position, right? So there are certain methods of probing. One of the method is called linear probing. Like now what will you do? This y was mapped to slot number 1. Okay, you cannot store it here, so you go to the next slot and you see the next slot is free. Okay, now what you will do, you will store this y here, right? And then let's assume you have another key, let's say x, right? And for this x, this mapping function says go to slot number 3. Okay, you go to slot number 3, you see here 3 is already filled. Okay, you go to next slot, 4 is filled, no problem. You go to next slot, slot number 5, it is filled as well, and the next slot, this is free, so you are going to place x here. Now this is the linear probing method, linear probing approach in open addressing to resolve collision, right? Now there are certain things which needs to be memorized or noticed here. The first thing is that this y was originally mapped to location number 1, which is this one, but it ended up getting stored here, right? Okay. Now this position, this index is called the home position. Oh, it's going to come. Yeah, this is called the home. Oh, मिट गया सब कुछ, चले, no problem. So this one is the home position of y, although this y was not stored at its home position, it was stored at the next position. Similarly, this x was originally mapped to slot number 3, this slot number 3, but this x ended up getting stored here. So this home position of x is 3, although this x is not stored at 3, but its home position is what? It is 3, right? So this home position concept needs to be remembered, right? Now let me read out the slide so that I may not miss any critical point here. All elements are stored in the hash table itself, so no pointers are involved. To insert, if a slot is full, try another slot and another slot until an open slot is found. This is called probing. To search, of course, if you are inserting your data in this manner, you are going to search your data in this manner as well. For example, you get a key, you give it to the mapping function gives you a slot, and if you go to that slot, your desired data is there, okay, well and good. If it's not there, you will linearly probe the remaining slots in the hash table, right? So this is a simple function. Now instead of in linear probing, instead of having a jump of 1, you can also have a jump of 2 as well, right? So instead of probing every next slot, you can probe every alternate slot as well. These are simple pseudocodes for this linear probing. Okay. The worst case of insertion in this case in open addressing is order of n, and the worst case of searching is order of n as well. Deletion in this particular scenario is difficult. I don't agree with the term difficult, but it is challenging, and that's why we are not going to cover it here, because this particular topic is to be discussed in very detail in the analysis of algorithms course as well. But this much concept is sufficient for the open addressing way of resolving the collisions. But there are certain issues with collision. The first issue is the major issue, which is the only issue which we will be discussing here, is clustering, right? Now clustering basically is grouping of people, item or entities. To give you an example, For example, consider a shopping mall. For example, this is a shopping mall. Okay, this is a shopping mall, right? This is a shopping mall, right? And what you do, you plan. Okay, let me write shopping mall here as well, so that, because it does not look like shopping mall, right? And on one very nice weekend, you plan to go with your family to the shopping mall, and you go there and you see that, okay, there is no car here, so you park your car here, right? This is good. Then the next guy comes, he parks his car here. Then the next guy comes, he maybe parks his car here. The next guy comes and he parks his or her car here. Similarly, so what is happening here? Everybody wants to park his or her car next to the shopping mall or the shopping area. So what happens is that everybody is trying to, and maybe I missed to draw that. This is the opening door of the or entrance door of the shopping mall. So everybody is trying to park his or her car at this position, right? And let us call this position the home position, right? So, but if somebody does not get this slot exactly, so what he or she does, he pass in the next available slot and next. So if you see here, there is a whole group of cars which has ended up being parked here. So this whole group of cars, you can call it a cluster, right? And maybe there is other shopping mall here. Okay, this one, this may be a small shopping mall. This has a small door, but like this red cluster is for this blue shopping mall, and somebody tries to come here and he or she tries to park his car next to the door of this shopping mall, but another car is already parked here. So what he does, he creates another queue and they start parking. So keeping this concept in mind, now let me read it out. Even with good hash functions, linear probing has its problems. The position of the initial mapping I naught of a key is called the home position, which I already told you. When several insertions map to the same home position, they end up placing contiguously in the table. This collection of keys with the same home position is called cluster, right? So and as the cluster grows, the probability that the key will be mapping to the middle of a cluster increases. So in short, what happens is that, for example, this is a hash function 0 1 sorry hash table 3 4 5, something is mapped to slot number 0, you store it here. The next thing is also mapped to slot number 0, but it's not free, so you store it here. The next thing is mapped to slot number 0 again, but it's not free, so you store it here, right? So this is a cluster which is made against slot number 0, right? So this cluster is usually called the primary cluster. Because maybe you get another key, let's say Z, which is mapped to slot number, let's say 1. Now it's not 0, but it is mapped to slot number 1. But since slot number 0 was not available, so the data which was supposed to be stored in slot number 0 is now stored in slot number 1. And this slot is not available for that, so you, by linear probing, you will be going to next slot is not free and the next slot is free, so you will be storing Z here, and then let's say there is another entity, let's say Y, it again maps to slot number 1, and 1 is not free, it is occupied by the items in cluster 0. You go to the next slot, you go to the next slot, and then you get. So this is creating the secondary cluster. So this clustering of keys in the hash table results in a lot of collisions, right? So this is, so within the primary cluster there are secondary clusters as well, and as the clusters grow, the problem of collision and chances of collision increases. So to resolve this problem, what you actually do is that instead of for example, this is the hash table, and you have this slot occupied, and you have an entity x which is to be placed here. So instead of placing this x immediately after this one, because we want to discourage clustering, so we will throw this x somewhere very far away from this home position. So this will continue for the rest of the keys as well, which result in collision. So this actually helps to break clusters. So how is it done? So it is done using this method. You get a key, and instead of going to the next slot, you multiply the index with a constant which you were returned, plus you multiply the square of the index with another constant, and then you get a new slot, right? So this actually makes sure that instead of placing a key in the immediate next slot, you place it somewhere very far away. So this will enable to have a milder form of clustering, right? So this is called the quadratic probing. Previous one was linear probing, and this one is called the quadratic probing, right? And as I told you that in addition to chaining and in addition to open addressing, in which we did linear and quadratic probing, there are other solutions as well. One of the solution is double hashing, right? As the name indicates, in double hashing we will be having two hash functions, right? So you use the first hash function to map a key to a hash table, and if it results in the collision, you go for the second hashing function. And of course, second hashing function may also result in collision. Then ultimately you will either go for chaining or you will go for open addressing. And in open addressing, there is another issue which obviously may come to your mind, that for example, if all slots of the hash table are full, every slot is occupied, and if then we insert a key into the hash table, where will it go? It will get lost, right? It won't be stored, rather. The program or software may display an error, memory full or something like that. But in case of open addressing, that is not going to be stored, right? So that is all about hashing, and we will continue with the next topic from the next lecture, inshallah. Thank you.